with ZipRecruiter.
Add New York to the list of states getting cell phones out of public schools.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul earmarked $13.5 million to get this plan off the ground. She says eliminating devices from bell to bell will help students concentrate on academics by limiting access to phones during class, lunch, and in the hallways. Hochul says kids can finally be free from the endless disruptions from social media and all the mental pressures that come with it.
ABC's Ariel Reshef. Federal authorities have named the first Border Patrol agent killed in the line of duty in over a decade.
The shooting in Coventry, Vermont was first reported Monday afternoon.
Stage north of the area for an active police incident.
Emergency audio from Broadcastify and Customs and Border Protections identified the 44-year-old agent who was killed as David Malin. They say he was shot and killed following a traffic stop with two people in a car, one described as a German national on a current visa. That person is dead and injured suspects being treated at a hospital. Malin's family told the AP he worked security duty at the Pentagon during the September 11th attacks. Brian Clark, ABC News.
The Songwriters Hall of Fame announced inductees for 2025. The Doobie Brothers are on the list. So's George Clinton and Mike Love of the Beach Boys. Songwriters qualify for induction 20 years after the first commercial release of one of their songs. Inductees to be honored June 12th. I'm Richard Cantu, ABC News.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
5:05 now, and with your KPNU News update, I'm Will Feelright. Well, a 20-year-old Smithfield man is admitted to assaulting and attempting to strangle a woman last year. Ethan Hunter Haslam has been in the Cache County Jail since law enforcement responded to a domestic dispute last fall. According to court records, Haslam appeared last week in Logan's 1st District Court, where he waived his rights to a preliminary hearing and fair trial and pleaded guilty to burglary, along with 3 counts of aggravated assault and sexual battery. Now, according to prosecutors, Cache County Sheriff's deputies were called to a domestic dispute in Hiram back on October 7th. The victim explained how Haslam had struck her multiple times and briefly choked her. Deputies reported the woman had bruises, scratches, and marks consistent with being strangled, while a 1-year-old child was also present at the time of the assaults. Now, Haslam has been held in jail without bail ever since. He's scheduled to be sentenced in March and could face up to 15 years in prison. And law enforcement reporting they found 80 pounds of concentrated THC that had a street value of approximately $1.5 million in Davis County. Now, officers with the Salt Lake City Police Department Special Investigation Unit executed a search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation. Now, while the police department said they were unable to release specific details about the case, they noted that detectives also seized 2 pounds of raw marijuana and nearly 200 THC cartridges. Now, detectives are working to determine relevant charges, which may include child endangerment and obstruction of justice. Well, the Utah State Aggie men's basketball team hoping to bounce back after their loss to UNLV last week as they face off against the Nevada Wolfpack coming up tonight in the Spectrum. Not only are they hoping to bounce back, but also feel better as the flu has gone through the team over the last week and a half. And as head coach Jared Calhoun said yesterday, even he caught it.
We gave them 2 off days, practiced one day, gave them another off day, and then practiced 2 consecutive days, Monday, Tuesday, took off Sunday. So just really trying to get the sickness out of our program. It kind of hit me when we got back. I was laid up for 48 hours, so I know how these guys have felt. To me, this time of year, the most important thing is fresh minds, fresh legs. We wanted to be able to do that. I think we've had 2 pretty good practices, and I got to finish the work here today.
Now, the Wolfpack comes into tonight's game 11-7, having won 3 straight, while the Aggies, of course, lost to UNLV last week, and still hold on to that 16-2 record. Tonight's game tipping off at 7 o'clock, and we'll hear more from Coach Calhoun, beginning with our game day pregame show at 6 here on KVNU. Well, weather-wise, we hit the low 30s today. Now tonight we'll see clear skies continuing overnight as we should be back down around 5 for our low tonight and then heading into the low 30s for tomorrow. By Friday, should hit the mid-30s before we'll see a chance of some snow coming for Saturday, clearing up by Sunday, and remaining clear for the first of next week. News and weather brought to you by Maple Creek Ranch. It's some of the most coveted land in Cache Valley, and only a few building lots remain. Google Maple Creek Ranch for more information. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Update. More of For the People coming up next.
The colder weather is here. Are your quilts and blankets looking dingy? Is your winter coat or jacket dirty enough to stand in the corner just by itself? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It'll take no time at all to freshen up everything. They have the 55 and 80-pound washers, the biggest around, and great big dryers, too, and it costs a whole lot less than dry cleaning. Free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town on the corner of 5th East, 9th North, and Logan, or in Brigham at 1st East, 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry.
The station for Logan High basketball on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Are you suffering with fatigue, brain fog, headaches, intestinal issues, weight gain, and you haven't been able to find any answers?
Before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety, some depression. I had been to multiple doctors. I'd been to specialists. We had done tests, and no one could find anything that was wrong.
Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
I'm on anxiety medicine. I've lowered my dose, and I'm working with my doctor to continue to lower it. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively, and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
Let's start the new year right with a huge winter clearance at Daryl's Appliance. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Overstock inventory, display models, scratch and dent appliances, and more are being discounted to clear out for the new year. Plus, easily qualify for 12-month financing to spread out your purchase. See store for details. Only at Daryl's, where service always comes first. Daryl's, west on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
Hi, Cache Valley. This is Dan Newmeyer at Blue Sky Restoration, formerly ARS. Do you know what to do if you are experiencing water flooding inside your home? First, make sure everyone is safe, turn off the water, and call Blue Sky. Do you know where the water shutoff is at in your home? If you don't, call Blue Sky and we'll send out a representative for free to help you find it and tag it so you can be prepared if an emergency arises. Remember Blue Sky, restoring your property and your life for a brighter tomorrow.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Kicking off hour 2 of today's show here with a very special guest joining us. Early December, we had a chance to talk with our good friend Kendra Penbry of the Stokes Nature Center about a project that had broken ground in August and was moving forward. And Kendra talked to us about the Outdoor Classroom Project, an outdoor education project that also could be described as a reclamation project, a trails building and connecting project, and, of course, the end goal being the construction of and at that point, operation of this outdoor learning campus that would reside in Nibley city boundaries, but be accessible to all the schools in the Valley, Utah State University, the community, Nibley residents, Valley residents, and more. It was an amazing project. It was fun to talk about, and I got word today, the whole thing, after beginning back in August, has come to a screeching halt with an announcement from the Trump administration this week that they were pressing pause, halting all distribution of funds from the IRA, the Infrastructure Reinvestment Act, passed a few years ago during the Biden administration with bipartisan support in Congress, that they were going to halt the distribution of the funds, something that is possible to some extent via executive order by a single president. Even though, again, bipartisan support by Congress, this was signed by the former president. I'm sure this is going to be a lengthy battle that will probably head to the courts in some way or another. But it does mean as long as those funds can't be distributed, projects come to a halt. And unfortunately, the outdoor education project in Nibley is one of them. So we reached out to our friends at the Stokes Nature Center for some perspective and maybe a little talk of what comes next. And joining us now from the Stokes Nature Center, Kendra Penbry. And Kendra, I appreciate you doing this today. I know it's kind of an unfair question to pose to you, what happens next, because who knows, right?
That is exactly the issue. Thank you so much for helping people kind of put into perspective what some of these decisions made thousands of miles away impact us here locally. But you're exactly right. We're not really sure what happens. And unfortunately, there are a lot of projects in the same boat across the country that are already started and have contracts in place. And now we're kind of in limbo. We've been talking with the agency that did fund this project, and they said as much as possible until we get further direction, we're going to try to keep going. But the uncertainty there is what makes us very nervous because, we're a nonprofit. So if we outlay the money and then we don't get the reimbursement, where does that leave us in terms of how we can serve the community? So it's a very unstable, unnerving time. And like I said, though, we're not alone. There's a lot of states and a lot of other organizations in the same position.
Sure. That is, it's also, it leaves Nibley City in a bit of a bind, I would guess, too, because they, as part of their master plan, have been planning on this outdoor education center existing in this spot and a connected trail system that would be related to that. So a lot of different organizations and entities affected by a decision like this. And it came as a bit of surprise. I've spoken with state lawmakers who also said they were very concerned. There are broadband projects in Rich County that depend on these funds, and they don't know. I asked a state lawmaker, what does this mean? And they don't know.
Yeah, we're all just like, what do we do now? Because we've started and people are excited and we know the community needs these resources, whether it be broadband or in our case, providing additional high-quality early childhood learning and outdoor-based education. We know that these are valuable projects, and that's why they were funded in the first place. And to be put in this situation where we've started and we're putting in jeopardy people's jobs and economic investment in the future of our county and our educational resources, and just making that feel so unstable is not great in terms of how we invest in the businesses and our contractor and in the suppliers for our project. Just the ripple effects are long reaching. So we are hoping for some more direction soon. But I think as we're all aware, there's a lot of orders being signed and right now, and so many of them are just vague enough that we don't know what it means. And we at Stokes really want to make this project happen, as I know, our other counties want to make those resources available to their constituents. And we're hoping for some clarity, but also hoping that this serves as a great reminder for the people in our community that there's a chance to let your voice be heard right now. Our government is intended to represent our people, not any one person's interests, but the people as a whole. So it's a great time to speak up and to let your representatives know what projects are valuable to you, what you want to see happen in the community, and ensure that they can move forward.
Sure. And that's excellent advice. People forget this, but information does trickle up if it's widespread enough. So going to your state lawmaker about this then makes its way to the governor's office, to the leadership of the legislature, and then that makes its way to our federal delegates who go back to D.C. and pass word along even to the White House. And again, a lot of unknowns at this point. I've seen a lot of discussion. Is this temporary? Is it to reassess or maybe look at redirecting some funds? No one knows. What we do know now is the pause button has been hit and all these projects are now at risk. And Kendra, I know it's very early, just a matter of hours since this news broke, really, but late yesterday. But have there been discussions there at Stokes and with other stakeholders, BioWest and others involved with the project, about worst case scenario, the money doesn't come? This, if I remember correctly, this was just over half of the funding necessary for this project.
Yeah, it was about 2/3 of our funding.
2/3,
so
okay.
It is a pretty large chunk. We do have some funding elsewhere secured for additional items on the property, and of course we'll do what we can no matter what, mainly because we've already started.
You have to at this point, right?
And we don't want to just leave it in the condition that it's in, and so if necessary, we'll try to just at least make it safe and ensure that wildlife can use it and all of that, but we would have to essentially stop everything moving forward. What's done is done, but being able to take it to the level where it's truly usable, which means like the restrooms and the parking lot and things like that allow people to actually access the space in a way that is safe for everyone, would have to stop. And so we would have to either delay for the foreseeable future until we find another source of funding, or try to figure out if there's another source of funding that we haven't tapped into yet, which I'm not sure what that is. We certainly explored all avenues already to date that we know of.
Sure.
But hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be fine. I think all of us, we want to believe the best and to think that, this is just a pause button and we'll be able to move forward with confidence. But for right now, it's just, we will have to wait and see, and we'll try to do what we can until we're told otherwise, and hope that we get to a place that the community can really use it and be a part of this work to make nature possible for all of us.
Fingers crossed that this is resolved in some way, because I'm a big fan. For listeners, if you'd like to see the overall design as planned, again, on hold at this point, the draft concept map and more can be found at the Stokes Nature Center website. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. You can also just search for Stokes Nature Center or visit one easy place for this and all of the services they offer there, by the way, not at risk with the loss of this grant. LoganNature.org is their website. Also, relinking to the story at CacheValleyDaily.com written by Bill Walter on the last time we spoke with Kendra here on the show. And this, again, was a project planned as an outdoor classroom / nature park, but it's much bigger than that. This is also could be seen as a reclamation of this area project, a trail system project. It was perfect. And unfortunately, again, it's on hold with the announcement that the new administration would be freezing the distribution of Infrastructure Reinvestment Act funds for the foreseeable future. Kendra, if you do find that, in the next coming days, maybe pressure on state lawmakers becomes pressure on our federal delegates, becomes pressure on the White House, and the freeze is lifted, can you immediately just pick back up where you left off, or does this require kind of a retooling of the whole plan?
We absolutely can just pick right back up, because there would be a little bit of a pause right now anyway because of the final arrival of snow.
Oh, sure.
Which is great for the valley.
It finally turned into winter, huh?
Yeah, not so great for construction, but great for the valley and for our water supply, so not complaining. So there would be a little bit of a pause happening on some of the bigger things anyway. So in terms of when this happens, now is, if there can be an ideal time, this would be it. But we can easily jump right back in. We're going to move forward with the funding that we do have right now, which will allow us to complete a few small things here and there. It's just the bigger things that we're still waiting to be able to install, like the actual facilities and things like that, we'll do what we can and hope that everything gets resolved quickly.
Have you heard from other stakeholders involved? I have to imagine that those who were kind of involved in the planning and the design from local schools have to be pretty disappointed with this news as well.
Of course, yeah, because we did hope that this facility is not just for Stokes, that other nonprofits can use it to enhance their outdoor learning facilities, access it for either having outdoor learning or research opportunities. So yes, we know that would be a disappointment to quite a few. We've had teachers reach out to us randomly, just asking if they were going to be able to use it when it's complete. So I don't know if a lot of people yet realize that this is one of the projects affected by the order. I don't know if noticing that level of detail happens for a lot of people simply because why would it? But also we sometimes disconnect ourselves from these big national things and don't realize what happens locally. So I imagine quite a few people don't know that quite yet, but there certainly would be some disappointment in quite a few people if the project isn't able to move forward, not just Stokes. But yeah, we have so many plans in the works there, including being able to have an amphitheater that other people can use for outdoor programming and things that we are very excited to make happen. And I'm going to keep trying to talk in the present tense that it is going to happen, and we will get there, even if it takes a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah, hoping that's the case. If listeners out there, if you, like me, believe, and I'm saying this as a person that thinks the screens are cool and useful and part of life that we just need to adapt to, but if you feel that kids these days maybe spend a little too much time staring at a screen, you should support projects like this. And again, unfortunate that it is on hold with the news this week that those infrastructure funds would be frozen by the incoming administration for the time being. We don't know, again, if this is a permanent freeze or a freeze to reassess. Very little information was offered when the executive order was signed, but those funds have been frozen. Congress, of course, gets a say in this. They passed the law, and it was signed by the previous president. So this could be a situation where we're looking at lawsuits slowly trickling through a court. Who knows? We've got projects, broadband projects in Rich County, road projects throughout the state of Utah that are all tied up in this funding now on hold. So reach out to your state lawmakers if you'd like to share your opinion. If you support projects like this, and you should, an outdoor education center would be so cool for kids these days, but also very needed here in Utah. And selfishly, Kendra, I'm a big fan of connected trail systems. I use them a lot. So the more of that we can get here in the Valley in any shape or form, I'm a big fan of. And appreciate taking some time to talk to us about this today, to give everybody kind of what happens, again, as you said, at the local level with these announcements that for most of us are generally just a CNN headline.
Absolutely. And I appreciate it, again, that we're able to have these conversations and just bring awareness to people. So thank you for that. Oh,
our pleasure. And for listeners, support everything they do in any way you can. Also take advantage of the services they offer at the Stokes Nature Center. LoganNature.org, again, is their website. And Kendra, we'll check in again soon. Please let us know if any news comes your way that is on the bright side of all of this. And we'll speak again soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We will do.
Thank you for your time. And to listeners, again, thank you for your time. If you would like to voice your opinion on this, again, even though it was a decision made at the White House level, reaching out to your state lawmakers and letting them know how you feel about this can have an impact. And again, a lot of projects tied up in this freeze here in Utah. So we'll see what happens next. Thanks again to Kendra Penbry of the Stokes Nature Center, LoganNature.org, one more time, their website. And we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Crossroads of the West Gun Show returns this Saturday and Sunday to the Cache County Event Center.
We're finding everything we're looking for.
It's America's premier gun show with great deals on guns, ammo, scopes, accessories, and more. Some at wholesale prices, plus jewelry, gift ideas, and door prizes.
Awesome selection. Just a lot more than I expected to see.
Crossroads of the West Gun Show. All sales are conducted in compliance with applicable laws. You can buy, sell, and trade at all Crossroads of the West Gun Shows.
We'll scour through, find the best bargain, come back and buy it.
Don't miss Crossroads of the West Gun Show at the Cache County Event Center this Saturday and Sunday.
From the land you love to
do the jobs you do.
This time of year, the farms, ranches, and fields might be quiet, but if you make your living off the land, the real work is just getting started. Now is the perfect time to prepare for the busy spring ahead. Cash Equipment can service or repair almost any tractor, make, or model. Don't wait until the fields are calling. Beat the spring rush. Visit Cash Equipment in Hyde Park and online at cashequipment.com.
Cash Equipment's here to see you through.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life. And you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Take two. Action.
You've been diagnosed with a new purpose: to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Great question from a listener. We never discussed this with Kendra on the line there, and apologize for that. Listener wants to know where this outdoor education center in Nibley was going to be. Again, for those just tuning in, broke ground on this back in August. It's been 2 years in the planning, and overall a total of $3 million estimated for this entire project. $1.9 million of that was a grant through the Infrastructure Reinvestment Act. This is exactly what the IRA was for, to fund projects like this. It'll end up being a connected trail system. It's also a reclamation project of some of the area where this would be built. And then in the end, a nice finished outdoor education campus that could be used by schools, the university, the public. There would be an amphitheater. And unfortunately, since August, they got a lot done. Fortunately, since August, they got a lot done. Unfortunately, it's now all on hold as of yesterday, when the Trump administration announced they were freezing the distribution of all funds. Again, there's a whole circus that has to play out over this at the federal level. Congress gets a say in this because they passed the bill. It passed with bipartisan support. Senator Mitt Romney was one of the key architects of this bill. It was signed by the former president. The incoming president, or the new president, doesn't get to just wipe that out with executive order, though they can freeze the funds. I'm guessing legally, eventually, they have to start distributing the funds again. I don't know, though. That's a guess. So we'll see how this plays out at the federal level. And also, this might just be a freeze to reassess and maybe even redirect some funds. I don't know. But until we know, projects like this are on hold. There's also a big broadband expansion project that's about halfway through over in Rich County, as I understand it. That's on hold. Let your state lawmakers know. They are state lawmakers. They didn't make this decision. They didn't pass the original bill with the funding attached, all of that. But they do pass word up, if you will, to the governor and leadership and our federal delegates. So let them know. You can also contact Congressman Blake Moore's office if you'd like to. But to answer listeners' question, where was this planned? In the story at CashValleyDaily.com on Stokes Nature Center, moving along with the outdoor classroom project. We did this interview back in December when they broke ground in August and actually had gotten quite a bit done. We spotlighted it here on the show early December. This is located at 2600 South, just barely west of Highway 165 in Nibley. So we didn't discuss that during the interview, so I appreciate listener asking. That's where it is. If these funds are not unfrozen, they have to make the best of what they've done so far. And in the end, we would end up with a lot lesser of a completed project, I think, than what was planned. Again, if you want to see the overall design plan, the draft concept map, and more, all of that can be found at logannature.org, the Stokes Nature Center website. BioWest is working on this as well. They've got it on their website, and it is included in the story from back in early December at CashValleyDaily.com. Stokes Nature Center moving right along with outdoor classroom project and park in Nibley. So fingers crossed again that there is a resolution to this that does not include scrapping the plans for the project. This is so cool. And again, not to sound like, old guy shouts at clouds, maybe a little bit. And I'm saying this as a fan of the screens. I think the screens are useful for children in their education if used correctly. I think the connection it offers are useful for their social skills and their social lives. I'm a fan of the technology, although I think it would be scary to be a parent now because of the technology. I'm a fan of it if used correctly. But I do think kids these days spend a little too much time on their screens. And this project is a perfect, absolutely perfect response to that. So it's unfortunate, really unfortunate to see it come to an end if that's what happens with the work about 25% finished with these funds being frozen. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that this gets resolved in a way that allows the project to continue to completion of the intended design. But again, it's anyone's guess at this point. I'm not sure they know for sure, the people who made the decision. So we'll see what happens next. And again, thanks to Kendra Penbry for stopping by. On the other side, the Salt Lake Tribune did something fun. If you are familiar with Twitter, or X, as Elon wants us to call it now, I refuse because I don't like brand name changes. I think if something's been around for almost 20 years and known as something, leave it that. And so it'll always be Twitter to most people. But if you want to call it X, I don't have a problem with that either. Either way, Senator Mike Lee is a very avid user using his personal account, which is Based Mike Lee. I know, the guy's 50 years old, but politics is weird. Based Mike Lee is his personal account, not Senator Mike Lee, which is the official account for his office and his staff and himself. He uses this Based Mike Lee to tweet himself, and he's pretty prolific. I knew he tweeted a lot, but I didn't have the slightest concept of just how much. And the Salt Lake Tribune decided to break it down, trying to answer a legitimate question. Is this a senator in the United States Senate, or is any senator in the United States Senate being distracted from their actual duties by social media overuse? We talk about this with teens all the time. Can it happen to a grown adult in the United States Senate or the U.S. Congress? Legitimate question. What the data says about Senator Mike Lee's social media use right after this look at the news with KVNU's We'll Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Yesterday, the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court addressed judicial independence in a speech before state lawmakers. Now, Chief Justice Durant was addressing a series of rulings by the Utah Supreme Court that had been made on abortion and citizen ballot initiatives that had invoked the wrath of some on Capitol Hill. Now, Chief Justice Durant pointed out to lawmakers that the court's role is to analyze the legal issues that are brought to them as a result of lawsuits filed over laws passed by the legislature. Now, the speech, normally a dry one, received extra attention this year in light of the Utah Supreme Court's decision to void Amendments A and D on the November ballot. Now, Amendment D, which would have changed how citizen ballot initiatives are handled, was called out by the Senate president in his opening day remarks. Now, House Speaker Mike Schultz in the past had also threatened to change how the judiciary works in Utah, something that Chief Justice Durant pushed back on in his remarks. And the Banff Center Mountain Film and Book Festival is slated to return to Logan coming up February 7th and 8th. Now, the event, which is sure to be a thrill for Cache Valley winter sports enthusiasts and adrenaline junkies, will take place at the Ellen Eccles Theater in downtown Logan. Now, hosted by the Outdoor Programs Office at Utah State University, the Banff Center Mountain Film and Book Festival is ranked among the largest and most prestigious outdoor festivals in the world. Now, since 1976, the city of Banff in Alberta, Canada, has hosted the international film competition each autumn that features screenings of more than 400 films and documentaries about mountain culture, sports, environment, adventure, and exploration. Now, here in Logan, it's expected that the festival will run 2 days with showings happening each night at the Ellen Eccles Theater beginning at 7 o'clock, with tickets available at casharts.org. And residents in southern Utah, in and around the Monticello area, have been told to be on the lookout for several suspects who fled from law enforcement on foot. Deputies with the San Juan Sheriff's Office are looking for a man and a woman who fled from the north side of Recapture Reservoir in a vehicle that they had stolen from Monticello. Now, police said the suspects are on foot and had asked residents to avoid the area north of Blanding along Highway 191. They also asked everyone not to pick up or stop for any hitchhikers. The San Juan County Sheriff's Office asking that if anyone sees anything suspicious in the area of the reservoir or along Highway 191 near Monticello, to contact law enforcement. Well, we made it into the low 30s again today with mostly sunny skies, and now we'll see these clear skies continuing overnight tonight as temperatures will drop to around 5 for our low tonight, be back into the high 20s to low 30s for tomorrow, mostly clear skies again, and then mid-30s to finish off the week on Friday before a chance of snow comes in for Saturday, clearing by Sunday, and remaining clear for the first of next week. And news and weather brought to you by Roof Rescue, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry. From minor repairs to complete roof replacement, remember Roof Rescue. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Update. Jason Williams and KVNU's For the People show returns next.
Hey, radio listeners, before we get you back to the music, let me tell you real quick about what I did that is saving me a lot of money. I got new insulation in my house. That's right. Now, I know you're thinking, boring, but have you seen the reports lately about how better insulation can save a ton of money on your energy bills? I can tell you it made a huge difference in my home. I mean, not only does the temperature stay perfect, but my energy bill is definitely down. Do what I did. Call Cardall's Insulation, 755-5012. That's 755-5012 for Cardall's Insulation.
This is Ted Karen with Edward Jones Investments in Smithfield, bringing you the daily financial market report for Wednesday, January 22nd. U.S. equity markets closed higher on Wednesday, with technology shares leading the way. The Dow was up 0.33%, the S&P 500 up 0.2%, and the Nasdaq up 1.33%. On Tuesday, President Donald Trump announced a joint venture between tech companies Oracle, ChatGPT, and SoftBank, which pledged to invest up to $500 billion in AI infrastructure over the next 4 years. Shares of Oracle were higher by 7% in response, and technology was the top-performing sector of the S&P 500 by a wide margin. In other corporate news, media giant Netflix reported better-than-expected fourth-quarter earnings and record quarterly subscriber growth. Netflix shares traded higher, nearly 10% on the news. Overseas, Asian markets were mixed overnight, with Japan's Nikkei gaining over 1.5%, while markets in China finished lower in response to comments from President Donald Trump that the U.S. could impose tariffs of 10% on goods imported from China as early as February 1st. In the bond markets, bond yields finished the day higher, with the 10-year Treasury yield rising to 4.6%. Oil was down 0.5% to $75.45 a barrel, and gold was up 0.25% to $2,767 an ounce. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you by Ted Karen with Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice. Daily commentary is located on our website at edwardjones.com. And if you'd like additional information, please contact any of the 10 Edward Jones advisors in Cache Valley, in Providence, Logan, and Smithfield.
A mouth-watering Cafe Sabor burrito, smothered in cheese and fresh guacamole, with endless chips and salsa, plus your favorite drink, all for just $7.95. It's Locals Day at Cafe Sabor. Every Thursday, the drinks are bottomless, the chips and salsa are endless, and the burritos are amazing, all for just $7.95. There's nothing better. It's Cafe Sabor's way of saying thanks, Cache Valley. Don't miss Locals Day every Thursday at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station, 6th West and Center in Logan.
Hi, I'm Wendy, co-founder of Bell Sculpt. I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable in your own skin, worrying about how you look, feeling drained, and just not like yourself. Hormone changes, pregnancy, or aging can lead to weight gain and challenges that aren't your fault. That's why I believe so strongly in what we do at BellSculpt. I've had a procedure myself, and it transformed more than just my shape. It boosted my energy, metabolism, and confidence. If you're ready to feel like yourself again, BellSculpt is here to help. Book your free consultation at bellsculpt.fm.
Nestled in the heart of breathtaking landscape, Maple Creek Ranch on the north end of Cache Valley is more than just land. It's where your story begins. It's the perfect location for building your dream home. But only a few lots remain, so act now to claim your piece of paradise. Imagine mornings with breathtaking views, evenings by the fire, and every moment surrounded by the peaceful charm of nature with stunning views, babbling brooks, and miles of wilderness. Google Maple Creek Ranch to learn more about these final few lots.
Happy winter! This is Mark at the Sportsman on Main Street, where we make winter fun. We are your ski, snowboard, snowshoe, and cross-country ski rental shop. Come in and rent for the day or longer and have a great time outside. We also have great deals on new skis, boots, bindings, underwear, and outerwear, so you are comfortable playing in the snow. See the Sportsman for the best deals, the best service, and most unique products you will find for the outdoors. Only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan.
Welcome back to KBN News for the People. Story this week in the Salt Lake Tribune that caught my eye because it's everything I like in a news story. It's data driven. It's based on data analytics. It's funny, and then it also potentially has some real world. Well, raises some real world questions. And I've been wondering this myself for a little while, but you always hear, whenever we talk about social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, you always hear it in the context of, kids these days. They're using it too much. And never in the context of, have you seen how much time some adults spend on these things? Instagram and Facebook more than Twitter and TikTok, I would guess. But really, and that's not necessarily good for adults either. Now, this, of course, came about in almost a political context. Well, maybe not political, but Senator Mike Lee is an elected official, and the behavior of elected officials is always up for scrutiny, and that's healthy. But the Salt Lake Tribune, Robert Gerke at the Tribune, I talked to him about this story after it was published and asked, what the impetus for it was. And he said, honestly, we were just curious. But here's the background. So for those not familiar with Twitter, Twitter came on scene in 2007. Originally, you could only type 250 characters, and that's what made it unique. You had to share your thoughts in a limited amount of space, and it took off like wildfire. Everyone was on there. In fact, there was a time when every member of the Utah legislature was tweeting to explain and defend their bills and their votes. And then, so the media, journalists caught wind of that, and they started really following along because that was the best way to get a quote from a lawmaker. They'll type it themselves on Twitter, and then you can put it in your story. And it was great. Well, since then, they've ruined it. And the ruining predates the Musk, as I call him, Elon Musk, buying Twitter. They ruined it first by making it so you could type paragraphs instead of 250 characters. Talk about not knowing your own product. They also, Musk, one of the dumbest things he's done is he made it so you can't share, if you share a link in your tweet, whatever you type, it gets deplatformed a bit. The algorithm weights it less, so fewer people are going to see it. Dumb. But sometimes I think the people who invent these things, Jack Smith, the original founder of Twitter, and the people who buy them, rich people like Elon Musk, they have no idea what it is they created or own, and they ruin it. So unfortunately, Twitter is not what it once was, but it is still widely used, especially in politics and sports. By the way, nothing beats Twitter for live coverage of international events. Honestly, nothing. When the tragic attacks of October 7th happened in Israel, when terrorists basically blew up a big dance party in Israel, the photos and information coming out of the area live on Twitter, it's just Twitter is absolutely made for that. And again, I don't think its own founder, Jack Smith, or its current owner, Elon Musk, really get that. But yeah, so there's your Twitter background. How does Mike Lee come into this? Well, Senator Mike Lee, for his entire career up until a couple of years ago, would tweet through his official account, Sen Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, S-E-N Mike Lee. His staff now uses that account. He uses a personal account that he says a podcaster, Benny Johnson, who also was recently caught up in the scandal around Russia funding a bunch of podcasters. But he said Benny Johnson talked him into setting up a personal account, said people need to hear your unpolished thoughts. And he set up Based Mike Lee. Don't ask. Anyway, so Based Mike Lee is his personal account. Senator Mike Lee tweets there a lot. And I knew he tweeted there a lot. And it gets weird sometimes. He was on a rant a few weeks ago about restaurants no longer cooking with beef fat. And part of me wanted to go reactivate my Twitter account and say, do you have nothing better to do? Because we're talking, it was like 7 o'clock to midnight. He was tweeting about restaurants not using beef fat to cook. A valid opinion, but you don't have anything else to do. This is, if you saw a teenager doing this, you'd consider having an intervention. But we all turn a blind eye because it's a grown man in a suit and tie, I guess. There was another one that was strange where he was going on about reviving less efficient light bulbs, because that makes sense, right? Claiming that the LED light bulbs only exist because of federal government overreach. Well, yeah, I don't think so, but also who cares? You want less efficient, more expensive, and don't last as long light bulbs to be revived? Nah, let's keep the LED ones. Some of those last 19 years. He has also, on a serious note, he's walked himself into some controversy that has been embarrassing for Utah. He was called out by Republican leadership in the Senate and other Republicans throughout his party after he tweeted that he believed that the most violent insurrectionists of the events at the Capitol, when they raided the Capitol on January 6, 2021, he tweeted that he thought that he had a photo of this guy running, and it looks like the guy has a little badge on. And he basically said that this proves that the most violent insurrectionists of January 6th were actually secretly federal agents trying to make Donald Trump look bad. He walked that one back very quickly, but it was a not so smart thing for him to post. So on a serious note, he's been irresponsible with the account. I would put it that way. Mostly, though, it's just kind of something to chuckle at. Well, the Salt Lake Tribune got curious, and they decided to dig into how much time Senator Mike Lee is spending on Twitter. And they ask a legitimate question. Is it enough time? A similar thing you would ask about a teenager and their homework. Is it enough time to wonder if he's distracted from his actual duties? And the Tribune leaves that up to you to decide if this is distracted from actual duties as a United States Senator level of social media use. Again, we're used to having these conversations about teens in our own households and families. In this case, we're talking about a grown man, United States Senator. In 2024 alone, Mike Lee posted 13,142 times to Twitter. And now you can get these numbers from Twitter on anyone's account unless they've made it private. Senator Lee hasn't. That's about 1,100 posts a month or 36 posts a day. Or if you really want to break it down as the Tribune did, Senator Mike Lee is posting to Twitter on average roughly every 40 minutes. His posts, though, come in groups at certain times of day. He doesn't post all day long. And to me, that's reassuring. That means he still is, I guess, at least somewhat doing his day job. Because most of his posting is crunched into the 7 to 10 p.m. hours Utah time. That would be 9 p.m. to midnight Washington time, where he's at least spending 3/4 of his time. And then it kind of picked up the latter half of 2024, where of his 13,000 plus tweets for the whole year, 9,300 of those were in the last few months. meaning that between October and December, Senator Mike Lee was posting to Twitter every 28 minutes. Now, again, not really every 28 minutes. Most of his posting happens at night when he probably should be talking to his wife or doing something productive or watching a TV show and unwinding. But he's on social media and all night sometimes. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy when you see it from a teenager. I don't think it's healthy when I've done it myself, and I've been there. He does this a lot. I don't think it's healthy. I think it gives you brain worms. And I think it is less productive than a million other things you could be doing with your time, including reading a book. Lee posted, so the worst week of the year was in mid-November, but after the election. So you can't blame the election. But in mid-November, there was this week, the Tribune found, where Senator Lee posted 737 times between Sunday and Sunday of that week in mid-November. And 208 of those 737 tweets were on November 18th. So a third of his entire Twitter presence for the month of November was November 18th. One day. That ended about 17 hours later. It was less than 24 hours of tweeting. And a differing if you break that down, that's a pace of a tweet every 5 minutes in a 17-hour period. Salt Lake Tribune decided to throw in some contrast on this as well. And the contrast was basically Governor Cox. They decided to look and see what Governor Cox's average, if you will, is for the use of Twitter. And they found that Governor Cox was posting about 474 times throughout the year. Senator Mike Lee beat that on one day in November 18th. Governor Cox, one of the other prolific Twitter users here in Utah, is State Senator Todd Weiler, and so a much better comparison. They looked into his, and he posted about 3,300 times in 2024. And Democratic Senator Nate Blowen, who is also a heavy Twitter user, he posted about 8,000 times in 2024. Both of them still 5,000 and 6,000 tweets fewer than a United States senator in 2024. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. I'm not one who can say when your social media use has become unhealthy for sure. But this does seem a bit excessive for Senator Mike Lee. It's wild. Check it out, the Salt Lake Tribune, because they're having fun with this one, of course. No response from Senator Lee yet on this. I hope he does respond, because it'll probably be a funny response. But it's a legitimate question. The social media addiction, social media overuse, it can happen to adults too. So, all right. That is our time for today, and we're going to wrap things up early to make room for a little sports ball here on KVNU. Thank you for tuning in. Please be with us tomorrow. We'll get an update from Kendra on the Stokes Nature Center project on hold and more. Also, check in with our state legislators as they finish up the week. That's tomorrow on For the People, and I hope you'll be with us. Stick around. More to come here on KVNU Logan.
Hey, radio listeners, before we get you back to the music, let me tell you real quick about what I did that is saving me a lot of money. I got new insulation in my house. That's right. Now, I know you're thinking, boring, but have you seen the reports lately about how better insulation can save a ton of money on your energy bills? I can tell you it made a huge difference in my home. I mean, not only does the temperature stay perfect, but my energy bill is definitely down. Do what I did. Call Cardall's Insulation, 755-5012. That's 755-5012 for Cardall's Insulation.
It's cold outside, but you can keep warm inside with a quality-built, super-efficient York furnace. Count on a furnace from York because it's backed by the strongest warranties available. It's just another way we install confidence. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, at 752-7272. Online at advancedheating-ac.com. York, install confidence.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Alpine Home Medical has been around for over 25 years. Can you believe that? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent. What keeps us coming to work every day? We're passionate about caring for you. From home and bathroom safety to transportation, mobility, recovery, oxygen, sleep, and more, come into any of our 10 locations today and let us take care of you.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit us at alpinehomemedical.com.
Cold weather is here. Let the gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah's fireplace category help you update your home with Napoleon's full line of gas or wood-burning products. Building a new home? Let the professionals at Advanced Fireplace and Stove design and install your fireplace. From traditional to modern, Napoleon has something for every design and every budget. Install a product that will allow your family to make memories for years to come. Stop by at their showroom or visit them at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Love is in the air this Valentine's Day with a special evening waiting for you at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Morgan Adald here inviting you to a special Valentine's buffet with music by Wildflower the Band. Come enjoy a delicious selection of prime rib, blackened salmon, tempura shrimp, ribs, and much more. And is it even Valentine's without dessert? Enjoy an endless display of chocolate decadence, delicious cheesecakes, and chocolate-covered strawberries. Nothing says I love you like dinner, dessert, and dancing. Reserve your Valentine's Day today. Visit theriverwoods.com. That's theriverwoods.com.
Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic has an experienced and caring team of physicians and staff to assist you with all of your ear, nose, and throat concerns, including head and neck surgery. Doctors Kaiser and Wilson and their staff at Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic will work together to provide excellent care and support throughout the entire surgery process, from your pre-op visit to your full recovery. And they accept all insurance. For more information about Doctors Kaiser or Wilson, search Budge Clinic ENT or call 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. Stop texts. StopWrecks.org.
Covering all the news. Stay with 610 AM and 102.1 FM. Breaking news and stimulating talk. News Talk KV.